It was the last week in May in 1972. My brother was graduating from high school, my oldest brother. We were so excited. My great-grandmother was there, my grandmother was there. And on June the 1st, we went to the evening graduation ceremony. And after the graduation ceremony, my brother went out with his friends. But you know, the whole week before his graduation, I was feeling sad. Something was telling me something is not right. I wasn't feeling good at all. I could barely sleep. And that night, at 1:30 in the morning, my father walked into my room and told me that my brother died in a car accident. I was devastated. This was the first challenge that I had to overcome in my life, was having to deal with my brother's death, dealing with the grief of having my brother gone. I would never see him again. And then I began to think, the weeks before when I couldn't sleep, was that about my brother's death? I miss him very much. I am a U.S. Army veteran. My dad was in the military, so I was always a military dependent or a military soldier. When I got out of the military in 1981, I moved to Orange County, California, but I really didn't have a plan. I had a roommate that I'd planned to stay with, but when I went to North Carolina and came back to Orange County, she'd moved. I had no place to go. I was homeless for 3 days. The first day, I drove a city bus. Actually, I rode a city bus all day long. I ended up at Leisure World. The bus driver looked at me and said, "Young lady, where are you going?" I said, "Leisure World." And he said, "Why?" And I looked around and saw all the old people, and I realized that it was a retirement community. So I got back on the bus, and he took me to a mall, and I began to pray. And I said, "God, please help me out of this situation." And so when I looked around, I saw a church and I saw a club. And I said, "God, if I get out of this situation, I promise if anyone ever needs a place to stay, I'll provide it. And if I can help anybody that's homeless, I will." Once again, there was a church, there was a club. I went to the club and found my guardian angel. In 2013, I was a first-year high school principal. I knew that I had to increase graduation rate. I knew I had to increase ninth grade promotion rate, and I knew I had to decrease the amount of suspensions. But one of the goals I wanted to do was meet all of my students. And there was one student that I hadn't met yet. And so someone said, "Oh, he's in the hall today." So I went around the corner and I said, "Hey, how you doing?" And there he was, 6'2", 220, leaning against the wall. And he thought he was in trouble, but he wasn't. I just wanted to meet him. And I said, "Tell me something. What's your passion?" He said, "I play football." And I looked at him and said, "Oh yeah, he does play football." I said, "Are you good?" He said, "Yes, ma'am." I said, "Well, what are you going to do with that?" He says, "Well, I'm going to go to college, then I'm going to play in the NFL, and then I'm going to buy my mama a house." I said, "Well, that's great. But that same work ethic that you put in learning the football plays, your strength and conditioning, you have to put that same work ethic in your academics, and we'll get you to college. We will get you to the NFL, okay?" I said, "And by the way, pull up your pants and go to class." He said, "Yes, ma'am." And as he walked down the hall and turned the corner, one tear rolled down my cheek. By the time I got back to my office, I was a hot mess. 2 weeks later, I got a phone call. "Dr. Moseley, your student is dead. He was shot to death." I was crushed. His mother called me and said, "Dr. Moseley, could you please speak at my son's funeral?" I said, "I met your son for 15 minutes, but in that 15 minutes, I knew his gift, I knew his passion, and I knew his purpose." A year later, I'm driving home from school. I see yellow tape. I said, "I wonder what's going on over there." And by the time I got home, it was another phone call. "Dr. Moseley, one of your students was beat to death in this park." I lost 2 students to violence in 2 years. I was devastated. Barack Obama said, every life must be given a chance to reach its full potential, that every life mattered. Brandon could have been an NFL player. Israel was a brilliant artist, but they were gone too soon. I started the campaign for no more violence. I miss my students, and I think about them every day.
Thank you so much for watching the Making of an Entrepreneur DocuSeries. I just want to take a moment to talk to you. That's right, you that's watching right now. You the mom, or maybe you're the dad, or maybe you're an entrepreneur, or perhaps you're an auntie or uncle, but you're someone out there that has a heart to give, you have a heart to serve, and as you're watching this Making of an Entrepreneur DocuSeries, you may be thinking to yourself, wait a minute, I've had some life lessons, I've had some setbacks, I've had some experiences, I've gone through some things that have helped me become a better person, and I want to take that and I want to release that to other folks. Okay. Maybe you're a speaker and you're already doing it. Maybe you've written books and you've already done that. Or maybe the story that's inside of you, the expertise that's inside of you, the message inside of you, this is the right platform for you to make a bigger difference and a bigger impact in the world. Now, this whole Making of an Entrepreneur DocuSeries, if you had to sum it up in just one word, and it's kind of hard to do that, but as I'm talking to you and you're listening right now, you might be saying, Shay, what's the one word? And the one word I would say is just legacy. Legacy. There's a legacy I understand that you want to leave for your family, and I get that. But there's also a legacy of your knowledge. There's a legacy of your expertise. And think about this. You're able to share your message or share your story or share your expertise. And long after you're gone, they still have a window into the soul of who you are and the impact that leaves behind. If that's you and you someone that's want to get the information, you're someone that's ready to do something bigger than just your business and bigger than just making more money, but you want to have more meaning in the world, do me a favor. Go over to www.themakingofanentrepreneurdocuseries.com. I know that's a long email, a long address, but I want you to hear it again one more time. Themakingofanentrepreneur.com. Now, when you get there, just put your first name and your last name and your phone number and information in there. Worst case scenario, you have a meeting with the team and decide, hey, me being a cast member, this isn't a good fit, but I had a lot of fun. Best case scenario, you decide to take a step. Folks understand your backstory, understand what you've been through, and the world is much better off while you're here. And when the day comes and you decide to transition and move on, it's still doing very, very well. So with that being said, I just want to pop in. Thanks a lot for watching the Making of an Entrepreneur series. My name is Shay Brown. I want to encourage you to continue to watch, and I'll see you at the next episode. God bless.
When my brother passed away, graduation night from high school left me with a lot of grief, and I just really didn't feel living myself. But there were some lessons learned. Had my brother had on his seatbelt, he probably would have survived the crash. And also, when I prayed at night, God, help me with this grief, God told me to write. Theresa, write. So the next morning when I woke up, I wrote a 6-page letter to my science teacher. I want to talk to you about him for a minute. My science teacher was none other than Cal Kuntz. That's right, he was a pitcher for the Mets. He actually won a World Series. Teachers are so important in the lives of children. I knew that I could write my teacher a letter. He would listen, and he would give me good advice. So that 6-page letter, it took me about maybe 30 minutes to write. But when I wrote the letter, I felt better. I learned that writing was cathartic. So one way I handled the grief was to continue to write about my thoughts and feelings. And what really bothered me more than anything was the week before my brother passed away, I just knew something bad was going to happen, and I didn't tell him. When my mother bought him the watch for graduation present, the only thing that was left was the crashed case in the car. The watch was gone. So another thing that I learned is that I have the gift of intuition, and now I use that intuition all the time. If I think about something, I say something. If I feel something, I act on it. But more importantly, as a business owner, as a public speaker, I learned that that I could use my voice in writing. You see, I always knew that my voice was my gift, but I didn't understand that writing and speaking was my gift. And I learned that as a result of my brother's death. As I stated before, I was homeless for 3 days in 1981. And I prayed and I looked at the church and I looked at the club and I went to the club. As I walked to the door, I didn't drink and I didn't smoke, but I sat at the bar and I ordered a Pepsi. I was so hungry and thirsty. I drank the Pepsi and I chewed the ice and I was praying like, how am I going to get food? I only had $50 to my name. And I checked my suitcase at the front door. And all of a sudden, a guardian angel came and sat beside me and said, young lady, you're in a crisis, aren't you? I said, yes, and I began to cry. I said, my roommate moved, my father is sick, I rode a city bus all day, ended up at Leisure World, and I don't know what to do. And the young man said, listen, it's Reaganomics. You know, there's not a lot of jobs out here. I'm a real estate agent. I haven't sold a house in 2 days, but I have an apartment. I said, I'm not going to stay with a strange man. He said, listen, I can't let you sit on a park bench. So I was safe. I went there for 3 days and I began to think, what can I do? How can I get a job? How can I get money? How can I eat? And then I figured it out. I'd re-enlist in the military. When I re-enlisted, I had a job, I had money, I already had the skill, and I said, and this time when I get out of the military, I'm going to have a plan. I'm going to have a blueprint. I'm going to be independent. I'm going to depend only on myself. And that's exactly what I did. As I reflect on that situation, there was a lesson learned. Always be independent. Always have a plan. Always develop a blueprint. And make sure that when you develop that blueprint, that you have goals, and you have activities, and that you have measurements on how you're going to make sure that you do what you say you're going to do. So when I got out of the military, I went to Georgia State. I got my bachelor's degree. I had my own apartment. I didn't have a car, but I rode the city bus every day to school back and forth. So I learned something. I'm 20-something years old, 26 and a freshman in college because I went into the military first. But I learned that all of the trials and tribulations in my life, there were lessons learned. Losing 2 students to violence is one thing, but watching the news and seeing a familiar street and the next picture is your cousins that were murdered, shot to death in midday is another. I knew that I had to use my gift, which was my voice and intuition, to make a difference. I knew that I had to serve the world by helping make this world a more peaceful place. So I went to a master's class. And in that class, the teacher said, there's 2 days that are important. The day you were born and the day you find out why. And that day, I wrote it down, that my gift is speaking and writing. My passion is serving others. And my purpose is to make this world a more peaceful place. So I started my business, TAM, Creating Ambassadors of Peace. I help people and organizations turn positive, have a positive school culture, have a positive school climate, have a positive community. I teach people to communicate, don't retaliate, to have compassion and empathy for others, to love their community and serve them well, to protest, but protest peacefully. My business is very important, and it's all those trials and tribulations in my life that led me to build this business, to build this brand, Creating Ambassadors of Peace. It's so important that everyone lives out their divine assignment. Brandon can't live out his. Israel can't live out his. My cousin was a pastor. She can't preach anymore. But now I have the voice to speak for them. I have the voice to make a difference in this world. I have the voice to tell you the tools that you need to make your family peaceful, to make your organization peaceful, to make the world a peaceful place. Creating Ambassadors of Peace, it is everyone's responsibility to make this world a more peaceful place. And it starts with the family, and it starts with your business. If you're a leader in a business, it's your responsibility to make sure that the culture and climate of your business is peaceful.
It's a great day. My name is Shay Brown. I just want to speak to you, the speaker, or maybe not even a speaker, right? Maybe you're not a speaker, but you have a message inside of you that you want to release, or maybe you have a story, right? A story of your life, a story in your career, or maybe as you're listening right now, you're an expert, right? You're an expert at teaching people how to do something. You're an expert at raising kids. And I want you to imagine for a moment that you had an opportunity to share your message or your story on a bigger stage. And I'm going to talk about that in a moment and what that would mean for you if you could reach your target audience. If you're an entrepreneur, if that target audience got associated to the problem that you solve, or if you're a super entrepreneur with sales funnels out there, not only did it get associated to who you were, but they were able to join your list. Now, for other folks, that won't make no sense at all. But for you, the entrepreneur, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I want to invite you over to something called the Comeback Champion Summit. And the whole purpose of the Comeback Champion Summit is really to do one thing, which is one word, and that is possibilities. That's right. When you get a chance to get on stage, you get a chance to do it virtually, and some of you maybe in person, and you get a chance to share your story. So something deep inside of you. I always say your message, because some of you have a message or your expertise. Then guess what happens? 3 things happen. Number 1, you get to make a difference. And isn't that why you are on this earth? I mean, I don't want to get emotional here, but you're really on this earth to make a difference for someone else. Something has happened to you so it can go through you to someone else. And being able to speak on a platform that provides an audience, it's like having a microphone that allows you to help more people faster. So that's number 1. Number 2, when you're on a platform, I'm going to invite you to the Comeback Champion Summit, you get a chance to have more meaning in the world, to have more impact, and to have more influence. And that's really who we're looking for. We're looking for folks out there who have an interest, want, or desire of serving others. So if that's you, I'm going to invite you to go over to www.comebackchampionsummit.com. Again, comebackchampionsummit.com. Click the button. It'll say apply to speak. Go through the process. And if it's a good fit, can't wait to share your story over at the Comeback Champion Summit or any one of our platforms that serves other folks. With that being said, my name, by the way, is Shay Brown, the Happy Entrepreneur. Make it a great day, everyone, and we'll make some good things happen. We connect again real soon. See you out.
3 defining moments that I would tell my 21-year-old self is, number 1, don't be afraid to fail. Fail forward. Know that all those trials and tribulations that you've had in life are lessons to be learned, and those lessons are to be shared with the world. Don't be afraid to fail. Fail forward. Number 2, make sure you don't let anyone define who you are. You create the narrative for you. Everyone was born with a divine assignment. They were born with a gift. As I said earlier, I knew early that my gift was my voice and my intuition. So you create your own narrative. Be who you are supposed to be. Live out your divine assignment and use those lessons learned along the way to share with other people. And most importantly, number 3, be an actioneer. Take action. And the best way to take action is to make sure that you develop a blueprint for what it is that you were meant to be. And in that blueprint, make sure that you have strategies. Make sure that you have activities. And for every activity and strategy, make sure that you have a monitoring tool. Most successful businesses, they have a blueprint, they have a plan, they implement what they say they're going to do. And network with like minds. Have an accountability partner, have a coach. It's very important to know that in business, when you're going to help others build their brand or create their divine assignment together with you in your business, if you're in the business of making others or building other people's brand, that it's important that you have a blueprint for that plan. Life is but a short road to our ultimate destiny. You also have to make peace, have compassion, and learn to love before you get there. Don't be afraid to fail. Know who you are. Don't let anyone create the narrative for you. And be an actioneer. You have to do what you love to do. I remember when I was 2 years old, my mother made a recording of me singing. I love to sing. I sang Cupid, draw back your bow. And when I was 12 years old, I was a Girl Scout, and the Scoutmaster said, the lights are out, get Theresa, have her sing. And I sang for 800 little brownies, and a hush became over the parking lot where we were at. I sang Ben by Michael Jackson. So I knew that I loved to sing. Even in the military, I sang in the 9th Division Soldiers Chorus. Once again, my gift is my voice. You have to do what you love. But when I received my degrees and started working in education, yes, I loved working with children, but I also loved speaking to children. And it was when I decided to make speaking my platform for my purpose is when I found this is my gift and this is what I love to do. You have to do what you love. When you do what you love, work is like play. Work is like play. So I tell everybody, find out what your gift is and know whatever it is, that's something that's going to be your passion. And your passion is going to be something that you love to do. And that's where you'll find your purpose. So do what you love. The third thing that I would tell my 21-year-old self, it's very important that you network. Networking is so important in business. It's so important in the success of whatever it is that you want to do. Somebody out there is already doing what you want to do. They already are who you want to be. And find those platforms, find those individuals that's going to build you up, not knock you down. See, I joined a Speak and Write Your Message class. That was my first time networking with other speakers and other writers. And then I joined the Leadership Experience Tour, which really I met a whole bunch of people that were into speaking and writing. And then my life changed. When you network with like minds, you develop relationships. And relationships are so important, especially when you're building your brand, when you're building your business, because you can't do this alone. Working alone will be very difficult for anyone in any business. You have to have a team around you. And in that team, you have to have different networks. You have to have different platforms to bring everybody together to have your vision to become alive. So it's so important that you network with like minds, that you have an accountability partner, that you have a coach, that you have people surrounding you that believe in you and that will build you up, not knock you down. Networking is very key. One of the reasons companies hire us is because we help solve problems. It's very important that individuals and organizations, that they're happy so that they can meet their goals that they set for themselves for the year. So I help build the capacity of leaders. I teach them how to use transformational leadership. I show them how individual consideration and inspirational motivation is used in the organization. I say, if you go into the break room and all of your employees are in a corner and everything gets quiet when you walk in, there's a problem. If you're lonely at the top, there's a problem. So I go into organizations and I help build the capacity of leaders so that they can learn how to work with their team members to make sure that they are happy, successful, and fulfilled. One of the reasons why I enjoyed this experience today was the team around me. They were very professional, they were very attentive, and I know that the message that's going out is going to go global, and that makes me feel good. It's very important when you have a great team like this around you to support you, to take great pictures, to film, and make sure that everything is together. It really makes me feel good. This was a wonderful experience.
It's a great day. My name is Shay Brown, and I just want to talk to all my entrepreneurs out there. And if that's you, like you, the entrepreneur, you, the business owner, you, the speaker, you, the coach, you, the author, you, the network marketer, you, the person that just want to do more good in the world by solving a problem, and you want to be paid, right? And so think about right now, if you had more high qualified paying clients that was like banging at your door, how would your life be different? When there's more revenue coming in and you're able to hire more people and you're able to make a bigger difference, what would that look like? Or number two, maybe there's folks that are coming in right now and they're knocking at your door, boom, 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 boom. But the only challenge you have is you're listening. Listen very closely, because this might be you, so listen very carefully. They're not converting fast enough, which means they're talking, they like you, there's conversation going on, but they're not converting. So there's two challenges, right? Number one, I need to attract my ideal client to me who can pay me. And number two, once they get in here, I need to have a system, a sales model, or a process so they convert faster. That means they pay you and then they come back. And if you're listening right now, you're saying, Shay, I want to be able to do that, but I don't want my labor involved. I don't want to work any harder. Shay, I'm at a place right now where I'm ready to reach more people. I'm on a mission, Shay, and I want you to listen very carefully. You were called to serve a group of folks out there, and you can't serve them right now because you don't have the revenue to purchase the resources that are necessary to execute that big vision. If that's you, as you're listening, any of that resonates with you, I'm going to give you a website, which is Easy Sales Hub. Again, easysaleshub.com. Let me just spell it. I know you can see it below, but it's EASY, sales, SALES, hub.com. Now, the reason you want to go over to easysaleshub.com is that that's the place you can come to, and you can do two things. One, we'll do a sales audit. So we'll take a look at your sales process, your sales funnels, and we'll see how those are converting. Number two, you can have the tools and resources you need to be able to generate more revenue with less effort so you can serve more folks. So with that being said, as you're watching, go over to www.easysaleshub.com. My name is Shay Brown. Make it a great day, everyone, and we'll make some good things happen. We connect again next time. God bless.